hello, hello. Welcome to the show. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and I am so excited to talk with you today. There is so many things that are on my mind, and as you can see from the title, I've got three specific things I want to talk to you about today. Many times I just kind of go into meditation or during the week or an evening, I kind of sit down and say, what is it that you want me to share today? So I am in prayer and I go, I want to know what I should talk about. And many times things just show up. So today I'm talking about sex trafficking, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan-Markle, and loneliness. Three very diverse topics, and no, they aren't related. They're three different topics. But what got me on the topic of sex trafficking is about a 15-year-old girl. But before I go on with that, just let me say, if this is your first time here, I would appreciate it very much if you enjoy this show, that you give it a thumbs up, that you subscribe, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when I am uploading a new video or audio. If you're on Spreaker, please follow me and please share this information on your social media platform, whether that is Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Reddit, Pinterest, Instagram, wherever it is. If you think this is important enough for people to know about, please go ahead and share. I would appreciate it so very much. So let's just take a moment and relax, because this information is going to be a little bit heavy today, because I was just, blown away when I heard about this young lady, 15 years old, and she took her life. So just take a moment and take a deep breath. For those of you who are new, I normally do somewhat of a meditation time, because I know that when we are in a relaxed state, we learn more, we retain more. When we are relaxed and have our minds open, and that when we relax, we lower our vibration, we lower the speed that our brain is operating at. And when we lower the speed at which our brain is operating, we go into a state called the alpha state or the theta state. There's multiple brain states depending on how fast you're moving. So I want you to slow down a little bit and just take some deep breaths in and out. Take another deep breath in. And for some of you, this is the only time you're going to be relaxing, and let the breath out. Some of you, you're so busy every day, you just don't take a time to just relax. So relaxing your body allows you to think better, to think through, to allow your knowledge that's inside of you, in your subconscious mind, in that big computer of yours called your brain, to become available to you, as well as you feeding it good information. Take another deep breath in and out. And mentally, not out loud, repeat after me every day, in every way. I am better, better, and better. Negative thoughts nor images have any power over me at any level of the mind. So that's whether you're anxious or whether you're busy, whether your mind is fast or slow, negative thoughts are not going to take over because you are going to say stop. And what is it that you want instead? Relax. Okay. 1, 2, 3. You're coming back up and getting a little bit higher vibration. 4, 5. You're wide awake. You're feeling fine. You've had a wonderful, beautiful, glorious temporary meditation. Okay, so where was I? Yes, I was talking about the 15-year-old girl that I read about. And it struck me because I thought about when I was 15, or when my daughter was 15, or my son was 15, or when my grandchildren will become teenagers, or even looking at today. She had been kidnapped at the age of 13. And she was kidnapped not in some third world country, not in some country across the sea, not somewhere where we have heard where women are mistreated or young boys are mistreated. She was kidnapped in Houston, Texas. Yes, Houston, Texas. Thankfully, her family had a wonderful network. It took a while, it was months, but they found her in Houston, Texas. She wasn't taken out of the country. She wasn't even taken in out of the county. She was still in Houston, Texas. And she had been taken by a man who put her in a situation that you would not want your worst enemy to be in. You would not want anyone you know to be in this situation, this horrible situation. She was put out there as a prostitute. Not really a prostitute. She was at the pleasure of anyone that paid her pimp. And as I said, thankfully her family had a network who continued to look for her. And they found her. And they worked to get her back. And they got her back at the age of 14, or close to being 14. She was gone less than a year. Now, why am I talking about her as a 15-year-old child? Well, during this time, once they got her back, she still kept trying to run away and go back to her captor. He had brainwashed her so well that she believed her family didn't love her and he was the only one who loved her, and he only put her out there because he loved her and they needed a way to feed themselves and put a roof over their heads, and who knows what he had told her. We've seen stories of what they call the Stockholm Syndrome, where a person is dependent on their captor, and she was. And they worked to try to save her and to help change her mind, and they tried to have her be in counseling. She wouldn't have it. She had totally changed. And at the age of 15, she took her life because she couldn't take this anymore. They wouldn't let her be with her man. Mentally, she had been destroyed. Many of you who may listen to this, you may have been assaulted at one time in your life. You may have had something horrible happen to you. I don't know. And this may bring something up in your mind and in your heart. And I want you to think about this and how you were able to cope or how you got help, or even if you haven't got help, you should go get help because no matter how you think it didn't affect you or you got away or you did whatever, it affects you. It affects you your entire life. It may have been something minor, it might have been something major. It may have been something that happened over and over again, or it may have happened only once. You need to talk about it to someone who can help you. Now, let me talk a little bit about this sex trafficking, this human trafficking, right here in Texas. So, what is human trafficking? It is modern day slavery. Now, human trafficking is not just about sex. It is the exploitation of men, women, and children. It can be forced labor, working in a sweatshop, harvesting crops, working in some fields or wherever, or sex by a third party, somebody like her man, for profit or gain. And unfortunately, Texas is on the forefront of this. They are also working extremely hard to combat it. So those of you in Texas, you can go to the texasattorneygeneral.gov and look up human trafficking. There's a whole section on it. In fact, they said in 2016, Texas is Attorney General formed the Human Trafficking and Transnational Organized Crime Section, and it was deemed to combat human trafficking across Texas. So here's some statistics. 234,000 victims of labor trafficking is in Texas. Well, Texas has farms, they have ranches, labor. So cheap labor. Really cheap labor. Some of these folks are working for nothing or next to nothing. And the people who hire them is just as guilty, and they need to be put under the jail. Sorry, that's the way I feel. If somebody has hired you and they say, okay, we pay the foreman, and so if you're paying the foreman, you don't know if these people that came in on his truck are being paid. So be careful. 79,000 victims of youth and minor sex trafficking is going on in Texas at any given time. And more than 25 million people are enslaved the world around. These are some staggering numbers. I've heard about sex trafficking on the edge. I met a woman at the Dare to Grow Texas workshop conference. She talked about this, and I looked at it a little bit, and, I didn't pay much attention to it. But when I read about that 15-year-old girl ending her life, 15 years old, she didn't get to be a sweet 16. She didn't have to go to the parties. She didn't go to junior prom or senior prom or, get to date or go to college or go to technical school or, get married, have a family, or if she didn't want to get married, travel. She missed all of that. Because of some, okay, I'm going to be nice, person, you probably know what I was ready to say, who stole her from her family. I still say many times I don't remember things being this bad when I was a kid or when my kids were a kid, but we didn't have the internet. We didn't have 24-hour news. We didn't have YouTube and Facebook and all of these. We didn't have the dark web where these lowlifes are chatting with one another and teaching people how to take kids. I didn't have to worry about my child being outside and playing and somebody snatching him off the street or her off the street. I didn't have to worry about that. My neighbors, I knew my neighbors knew me. In Pittsburgh, we were on a dead-end street. We were in a cul-de-sac. I didn't worry. But now, there's no way my child goes out by themselves. There's no way I would allow my child to walk to school by themselves. They would, if I didn't go with them, they would be in a group. This is fearful. So what happens if you have an inkling that something is wrong? Well, they said the first thing to do is call 911 if the situation is an emergency or if you believe someone is in immediate danger. You can tell them you think it may be human trafficking so that it can be routed to the proper people. Make sure you give them good information like the description of the car or the van or the truck. Hopefully you can figure out or get a picture of the license plate. Get a picture if you can of the people. You could be saying, I'm going to take a selfie, but you're really taking a picture of them. Let them know where you saw it and do that. There is also a human trafficking hotline. It's down in the description. And you can also text help or info to 233-733. That's an interesting number. Text help or info to 233-733. And there's also an email address, report@Polaris, Polaris, project.org. As I said, I'm going to put this down in the description. Keep your eyes open. Pay close attention to the people who are in the neighborhood or the community. Report any strange behavior that looks like human trafficking. There was another article I read about a flight attendant that was watching this little girl with this man on a plane. And she was smart enough to ask the little girl, yes, you need to go to the bathroom. She took her to the bathroom. She gave her a note saying, I can help you. And the little girl wrote a note of help. I don't know the exact way it went, but in the end, the little girl let the flight attendant know she needed help. The flight attendant let the captain know, who let the ground know, and the police was waiting on the plane when they got there, when they landed and came in. Turned out the man had kidnapped the girl. And they reunited her with her family. There was another incident where a city bus driver, watched this little boy who was crying, and it was just in I guess distress. And he stopped the bus and made a little thing like somebody had left something on the bus and he was looking for it and different things, and he checked out the kid with the man. And whatever the indication was, when he got back to his seat, he let the police know there was a problem. They met the bus, and it was the man had kidnapped the child. Keeping your eyes and ears open to protect and save a child. Do that. Okay? So, like I said, I'm going to put the information in the notes, in the description for the phone number, the text number, and the email address. Keep your eyes open. Yes, I know that you might be overly, and somebody, you might call the cops on somebody and their child. And I know that's a concern, and that's why we don't do that. We don't put our nose in it. But I think I'd rather have somebody save my child, even if it's against me, save my child and say, no, here's my ID. This is my kid. You know, he's upset. He's mad. He's whatever. He's going to be in timeout or on punishment when we get home. I don't know. And I know that some of you would be upset, but for me, if I could save a child from killing themselves as they got older, or a life of misery, or forever being in counseling, then that's what I would do. Okay? That is on sex trafficking and human trafficking. Part two is another thing that's been on my mind for quite some time. The Duchess of Sussex married His Royal Highness Prince Harry of the United Kingdom in May of 2019. They produced their first child, Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, in May of this year. I have kept silent on this, and I've got a lot of pent-up aggressiveness on the subject, and I'm going to touch on a couple of areas that bothers me the most. Okay, so this is going to be a shorthand version because I could talk an hour or two on this subject. Number one, Duchess of Sussex has been slammed by the British tabloid press for the most ridiculous of things. Her hair, her bun is too messy. She's got the messy bun. She doesn't have the wonderful flowing locks of her sister-in-law. She just doesn't take care of herself. Her clothes, they're too expensive, they're too cheap, they're too this or they're too that. Why isn't she using this designer or that designer? Her speech, she does it, she sounds like she's trying to pick up a British accent. And she just talks in the American way. On the Instagram account, we know it's Megan that's writing because she's got that American thing going. Her smile. Does she have plastic surgery? And most of all, they can't get over the fact that she is of mixed heritages, as in being half black. How dare Harry, with his handsome self, abandon the pureness of the royal family by daring to marry someone beneath his station in life? How dare he marry an American? You remember his great uncle, great uncle or great uncle, I don't remember, gave up the throne because of some American woman who had been married 3 times, right? And Meghan is a divorced woman. How dare he abandon his previous woman type with someone with brown hair and not blonde? She's rude and uppity and unsuitable, a social climber, mean, nasty, hard to work with. People are leaving, people are quitting. Unfortunately, they're all the same kind of things I've heard about me in my life, no matter. For some, she stole the spot from some beautiful, non-dedicated, social climbing Caucasian woman. We here in the United States is not immune to this, and many of you have heard the term dog whistles, as things in the media, and I'm not going to go there right now, but talk about it. But let's think about this. It's no different here in the U.S. when President Obama and his wife Michelle were referred to as monkeys. They continued, tried to say that Michelle was a man and tried to prove it. I mean, no matter what, some people hate us, no matter what we do. It is so difficult for some to admit that a black person can be smart, inventive, caring, and can be a leader, as well as many other things. So, they're probably okay when it comes to sports, or the arts. And even then, they thought we weren't smart enough to be a quarterback or lead a corporation or be a scientist. When I was working for one of the corporate entities, and I went out to work on someone's system because I was a troubleshooter. So if your computer system was down, I was the person that came to do it. And the first few times I went to visit before there was a problem, one gentleman looked at me and said, I applied to go to work at that company. I said, oh, that's wonderful. And he says, but they didn't hire me. The underlying question was, how'd you get hired? And they didn't hire me. I'm a white man. And they hired you, a black woman? I didn't respond, but in my head I said, yeah, because I was smart. I don't know about you. Yeah, I learned a long time ago to act like it's water off a duck's back, but poor Megan can't do that because it is so vile. The lies, the no matter what she does, a wonderful guest editorship in the Vogue magazine. And when the guy said she didn't want to be on the cover because she thought that it would be, and I don't remember the word, but it would be like pretentious. They jumped all over her. Oh, you're talking about Kate because Kate was on the cover. No, there were 15 women on the cover that she said they were game changers. They were change makers. She felt that it would be presumptuous if she made herself one of those women on the cover. She says, I am putting it out here that these women, these are the women I think are change makers. I'm not including myself in that, and it was brilliant to put the little mirror on there so you could see yourself in that mirror. It's brilliant. This whole thing, all the things that she's done that I see, all right, with I've got it right here in front of me, the Together Our Community Cookbook. I've got a couple recipes in here. Yes, I'm one of the millions that bought the book, and I helped by buying this book. She got millions of us to come together buying this book that gave us something to do, but in return, we helped this kitchen get remodeled and be open 7 days a week. And she didn't have to give up the money. The foundation didn't have to give up the money. And the Vogue article highlighted so many places. There was a kitchen that brings in women who have been in bad relationships and have come out of jail, and they learn to be bakers, and pastry makers or whatever. And now they've opened a second location because people started coming there, spending their money, and they were able to help more women. Brilliant. This is better than just giving somebody a grant. This is giving somebody the world. I'd love to have that kind of publicity in my life, right? somebody big, like her, she shined the spotlight on you, and she's shining the spotlight on lots of organizations, and they're getting these influxes of charitable donations and volunteers and all of those wonderful things, and I think it's fantastic. And I hope you do too. She doesn't deserve what they say to about her. There's one other thing though. And this is what goes on with her family. I must admit that when it was her father's side of the family that was acting jealous and calling her all those names, I was relieved. I think one of the comedians said the same thing. Thank God it wasn't her mother's side of the family. And I know there's a lot of us black folks that feel that way. Now, here is what I believe, and this is my personal opinion, not necessarily fact. This is just my opinion. You know, her father was feeling shame and anger over the way he was being portrayed by the British press and wanted to speak up for himself. At least that's what he said. I don't know if he called Meghan and Harry to ask for assistance or not, or to ask what he was supposed to do. Now, it's been said that they did let him know about the pressure of the press and that he should not speak to them at all. He should just say no comment, because the more you talk, the more they're going to come after you. But personally, I think his ego got the best of him, and he took his oldest daughter's advice to have the pictures made of him, right? Instead of talking to Meghan or following their advice. So following his oldest daughter's advice, that was not the person who he should have taken information for. Did he have a heart issue? I don't know. I think he did. He said he went into the States. He came in under a name, and those folks were looking all over the place. So if he used a different name, and with HIPAA, they probably wouldn't have found out. Was he too poor to fly to England for his daughter's wedding? Didn't matter. I bet Harry and Meghan were paying for his trip, his lodging and his suit and whatever else he needed. But I do have a question. And that's, why didn't Harry and Meghan fly over to see him personally, or find a way to meet him before they got engaged? Mr. Markle did say Harry, and he had a phone conversation. Okay, fine. But then again, Ms. Raglan, had been spending time with them on several occasions. She was at the Invictus Games in Canada. She was seen in London. Yes, she's very much a part of Meghan's life, and she has said not one word to the press. She had quit her counseling job because the press was too busy trying to get people at her job and clients and people coming in to talk about her. She quit her job because of the press. And on top of that, the press tried to make her be a woo-woo yoga teacher, ignoring her degree in psychology for some time. And still, she kept her mouth shut. I also observed that she and her daughter are very close, and I understand that. I understand dynamics of step families and ex-husbands. Oh, yes. Anyway, understand that. So, just, there's a lot going on there, and I'm out of time. I don't want this to be but so long. It's longer than I wanted it to be anyway. Um, but I know the Brits were surprised at how dignified her mother was, and I guess they were expecting some hoochie coo, some lowlife, some whatever. I love me some Doria Ragland. She is awesome. So all in all, I believe I like the Duke and Duchess. They are doing what they can to spread goodness in the world, and I back them wholeheartedly. I continue to send all four of them, which includes Archie and Doria, the energy of love, kindness, peace, and happiness. We love you, Megan, and we will be behind you all the way. Now, I said I was going to talk about loneliness, but we've been going on for a while. But just let me say this. Think about who you are and what you do. And being alone is good. Loneliness is not so good. And as we go into the winter season, the fall season, if you have that change of seasons, we know the days are shorter. And I suffer from SAD, which is called seasonal affective disorder. And when the sun goes down and it's shorter days, my emotions change and I have to up my vitamin D. So I'm going to go from 5,000 units a day to 10 and get outside as much as possible. I was out earlier today in the sun. It was rather warm. But there are times when I feel lonely. In the evening, at night, in reality, I am an introvert. Yes, some of you are going to say, Bev, really? Yes, I am an introvert. I try at work to stay busy, but I enjoy my alone time. And however, sometimes I haven't left my house in days. Or even then, I was out running errands and the interaction was superficial with these salespeople. So, yes, I'm an introvert and an extrovert. I enjoy being out with a friend or a group. However, after a while, my body begins to want peace and solitude. My ears begin to hurt with the noise of all the voices and the chatter. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation that hum, that of the noise of voices in a room full of people. It's like it's like a big monster coming up and engulfing me. And my ears begin to hurt with the noise of all the voices and the chatter. My body starts tensing up, and all I want to do is get out of there. I begin to get irritated. I know it's time to leave. And a lot of times I leave earlier than everybody else. And sometimes all I need to do is to step outside into peace and solitude where nobody's around. There have been times I've left a place, gotten in my car, and just sat there for about 10 minutes and, kind of did the meditation thing and then get up and go back. Especially if I'm at a conference or something, I go and get some alone time. I need it. And then I get in a situation, like now, I find myself talking incessantly when I'm with someone, and inside I keep telling myself, shut up, shut up, shut up. And when I'm quiet, the conversation lags or it goes toward mundane, at least in my mind, things. I want some creative thinking. I want a conversation about what can we do to make the world better for someone. Yes, I talk politics. I'll talk religion, and sometimes people don't want to hear what I have to say because it busts their world sometimes. Economics, art, gardening, silk painting, quilting, photography, podcasting, And then I get tired and I want to go home or go to my room if I'm visiting with someone. Yes, when I'm at home, I am good for a while. I have a ton of projects that I need to do, and then I sit. I watch YouTube videos or read or go into the garden and do a little bit of work. But as night falls and this time of year, I want someone to talk to. Yeah, I've told you my daughter lives with me, but she's more of an introvert than I am. We make sure we take time each day to have a conversation and keep up with each other and what we're doing, and if we've got a doctor appointment, or if I'm going out to speak, or I'm, going somewhere to meet some friends, I let her know. I don't see my son and daughter-in-law that often because they've got super busy lives. My friends are either married or working a lot to maintain their lives, you know. And I stopped going to the senior center because I got tired of them talking about people who's sick and who's dying and who's got this, and I don't I don't do that well. I'm about living. I'm about having a great life. I'm about sending healing energy and talking about ways to make yourself healthy and how to combat illness. That's what I talk about. So I'm looking for ways. So I'm asking for you to give me some ways that I can keep myself busy other than the things I need to do around the house. We don't housework. I got papers I got to organize. I, I have a chapter in a book I got to get done. So in the next week, just pray for me to think of something around manifestation. Talk to me about that. Put it in the comments, something. Talk to me what you do to manifest things in your life. Talk to me about what you think manifesting is. What is manifesting? I need to get it done in the next week, so help me. Okay? We'll do that. Anyway, I hope you liked today's show and I didn't talk you to death. Be sure to like and subscribe or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, or LinkedIn. Just look for Beverly Fells Jones, or just look for the Silver Fox of Consciousness. You look up Silver Fox, you got a whole lot, but you got to say of consciousness in quotations. I recently joined Reddit, but I haven't I haven't done anything with that. I'm on Twitch TV, but I haven't done anything with that yet, so hopefully we'll get that done. But I'll let you know when I figure all that out. So anyway, as you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so. Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.